What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin. It's good to be with you for episode 17. Wow. 17 times I banged my hand on this table like that. I've got a huge bruise right in my palm now, but hey, still having a lot of fun. 17 episodes. I heard something interesting. I saw something interesting on a TikTok, which we all know TikTok is the unfiltered source of truth nowadays. So it was like one of these influencer, bros who's, wants to motivate men into being alpha males or something. And he was like, yeah, for those of you who podcast, if you do over 20 episodes, you're in the top 1% of podcasters. So we're approaching that number more and more by the episode. 17 episodes in, having a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys for making this cool. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Keep it rolling. I'm really enjoying the feedback and seeing what you guys have to say. Just a real quick Stanley Cup final update. Game 4 the other day. Today I'm talking to you on June 16th. I almost said Florida won, but it was Edmonton won 8-1 in Game 4. An explosion of star power. I think Connor McDavid was responsible for 3 goals in that game. So he showed up in a big way for the first time this series. He had been doing this thing, he'd been trying, but really he saw the fruits of his labor in Game 4 as Edmonton won in a big way. Florida had to pull Sergei Bobrovsky midway through for the first time in the playoffs. So he had been untouchable up until that point, but they broke the seal. But it's okay. I was glad Edmonton won, and I'll tell you why. Because I predicted Florida would win in 5. And therefore, if you know how a best of 7 series works, for a team to win 5, the other team has to win once. That's just the way it works. So I was happy to see that. We'll see how that turns out in Game 5 again. I'm predicting Florida wins. They'll be the Stanley Cup champions. It's just too little too late for Edmonton at this point, unfortunately. But hey, that's the National Hockey League this season. It's about to wrap up. Next season is the big one if you're living here in the state of Utah. The Utah Hockey Club. They've officially branded themselves. They've given themselves the temporary branding for next season. They're going to be called the Utah Hockey Club. They've got everything official. They've got their Twitter handles. They've got their Instagram. I think a Facebook page is up and running. Their website is now connected to NHL.com, so you can go to the team website. They're loading it up with content now as we speak. And we also got to look at their uniforms, the colors, the branding. We had already seen the logos. We talked about that. The circular logo we talked about in the last episode. But, there's a few other word marks and logos with just Utah basically on it. So let's just go through and, talk about the uniforms really quick. And I'll tell you this. They're not bad. I really don't have an issue with the look they're going to have for this year. Again, we know this is temporary. We know there's a vote going on to decide the team name. I believe voting is through the 20th. It's funny. I'm looking right here at their Twitter, but for the Utah Hockey Club, and they tweet, the voting is going now. Your vote counts. My thesis has been the whole time that your vote really doesn't count. But hey, I want you guys to think it does. For if it makes you have fun, if it gets you guys interested in the hockey scene, just think that your vote counts. It doesn't, but just think that. Okay. Again, team name voting through the 20th. And then I imagine a short time thereafter, they'll announce the team name, the Utah Yeti. And but no one really, someone just commented to me that, there might be another round of voting, maybe the finals, the showdown between what I'm predicting will be the Utah Outlaws and the Utah Yeti. Utah Yeti is going to win, by the way. But no one really, it was supposed to be a bracket. No one really knows what this was supposed to be, but apparently voting's almost concluded for this round. We'll see how it goes. But again, looking at the branding for next season, they're going to roll out just like a real simple look. Utah Hockey Club, very generic, very deliberately generic look. But we have some idea of what the colors are going to be. It's going to be something that they're calling mountain blue, salt white, and rock black. And I think it's interesting to note that these colors also are found in the Jazz's new rebrand. Purple is noticeably absent from the Utah Hockey Club's color palette, but I think that's, I got to tell you, I have all these conspiracy theories about the name. I'm feeling so sure that I'm going to be proven right on this. And my big thing is, I think when they do announce the team name, which I do think will be Yeti, I think they'll also sort of add to the splash, sort of the excitement of the reveal by adding a new color into the mix, a new primary color to sort of really get people very jazzed up. And I say jazzed up deliberately because I think that color will be purple, like what the Jazz have. So see how that works? That's what I'm thinking. But anyway, we're just looking at the look that the Utah Hockey Club is going to roll out next year. It's not bad. As far as like a generic look goes, that's probably about as good as it can get. And I think we might see like a version of this like permanently when the team name gets rolled out. Because I got to tell you, I really like the diagonal look here. I've got it pulled up on my screen. If you're again tuned in on just podcasting streaming platform, you're missing the visuals. So tune into YouTube, check this out. But it looks really good. I mean, Utah looks awesome diagonally. Again, the lettering, the typeface is a little plain, a little boring. Again, these are all deliberate choices to be a little boring, but I think it looks awesome. And I think these are going to be like maybe some cool collector's items. I think when people have like, sort of, vintage or, unique items, like when you see people like that with like I don't know, sometimes I'll see people with like a Sundiata Gaines jersey at like a Jazz game, and I'm like, that's a cool jersey, like the green one, like the one he wore when he hit the shot over the Cleveland Cavaliers like 15 years ago. Like that's cool. I wish I had something like that, and I think that's what these jerseys are going to be for this fan base. I think you'll see people who buy these. I think Fanatics, the retailer that has the partnership with the NHL, they're going to roll out these for sale next week. I wonder if they're going to be able to get these produced in time to get to people for the first game. And the fact that like Fanatics is doing it kind of scares me because I think a lot of their stuff sucks, frankly. They've had a huge disastrous rollout with the Major League Baseball uniforms, especially the fan replicas. So my assumption, because it's being done by Fanatics, is that these jerseys are going to be kind of cheap in terms of material and not cheap in terms of cost. So I think if you want a Utah NHL jersey, a Utah Hockey Club jersey, I think you're probably going to be looking at close to maybe $200, at least $150. And I would imagine the fabric's going to be a little thin. That's just me predicting that that'll be the case because it's a Fanatics jersey, but we'll see. But again, I think it looks pretty good. I think people should feel good about how this club is going to look the first year. This, like Ryan Smith showed a video or like a photo of a player wearing it, in context in front of like a cool mountainous background kind of LED thing. I don't have that pulled up. I wish I did, but you go ahead and check out Ryan Smith's Twitter and you'll see what I mean. I think they're going to look pretty good. These are definitely professional quality. They're not going to look dumb compared to the rest of the NHL, which is good because I was actually looking at the other NHL uniforms, and I got to tell you, I think for the most part, like the NHL is a pretty good looking league in terms of their logos, and uniforms. Like I have this website here, right here, NHLuniforms.com pulled up. They've got like all the uniforms here. And I'm trying to figure out like who looks the worst and like who just looks bad. And I got to tell you, nothing really stands out. I think they all look pretty solid for the most part. I really can't even, maybe the Capitals, it's time for them to refresh some stuff with their uniform. Let's just take a look. I think like those stripes on the arms could probably be touched up a bit, and maybe when they switch out of the Ovechkin era, when he retires, maybe they'll go for a new look. But yeah, across the board, the NHL is a pretty good looking league, and I think what's nice is that the Utah Hockey Club is going to fit in just fine, at least for this year. I think a lot of people are going to miss the Arizona Coyotes look. I think that what's they call it, like the Kachina. There's some kind of weird term for the Coyotes logo. It's a good looking logo. And it's too bad the league is losing that. But again, like the NHL looks pretty good collectively as a league, and I think Utah Hockey Club is going to be a part of that. And I hope when the real logo comes out, when we have the real name, which is going to be Yeti. God, I so badly wish they had done the Outlaws thing. There were so many opportunities there. But Blue Outlaws doesn't really work. I think when we look at this color scheme, Mountain Blue. I don't know why they call it Mountain Blue. I was out with my family at the cemetery. It's Father's Day, so we're just spending a little bit of time with Dad at his grave, and we were out looking at the mountains, and it's like they're not blue. Like the mountains are purple. Purple Mountains Majesty. I don't know why they call it Mountain Blue. Oh, I don't know. Because the mountains where the Yeti lives are blue. Maybe that's it. Okay, there you go. But again, Utah Hockey Club rolling out their look. I think they look pretty solid. I think people can feel good about that. And then check out all their branding there. Again, I'm just scrolling through their Twitter. Here's a little video just showing off the look and all that. Logos, merch looks kind of cool. I'm sure I'll get like a hat or a shirt, maybe a hoodie. At some point. There's the image I was referring to. So there's the player right here. This looks like it might be a mannequin, actually. Now that I see a little bit closer, I don't see any facial features there. But I think that they're going to look pretty good on the ice. I think that they're not going to look dumb, and I think that's good. You see the Jazz logo next to the Utah Hockey Club. Again, I think they're going to share a lot of similarities in their look. I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter also showing off their season tickets, their locations. So feel free to tag me. I'd be interested in seeing where you're sitting, and what that looks like, and frankly how much you paid for it. So go ahead and tag me, and I'd love to get that information. And here's the video that sort of hypes all this up. There's Ryan Smith, some of the Jazz guys. There's the party at the Delta Center, and then here's the logos, the looks, the uniforms, the merch, all that good stuff. So it's official now. The ink is dry, as it says here. We've officially closed on an NHL franchise. So the transaction's complete. Ryan Smith owns the team now, and they're off and rolling. And again, the timeline is getting. It's just blowing. It's just going by so quickly. We're here. It's June 16th. The NHL draft is in a couple weeks in Vegas. I'll be talking more about that. One of my previous episodes, we talked about some of the defenseman prospects that they need to look at, and I'm sure they are looking at. And I have some more thoughts on that as I've dug into that a little bit more. And then some other stuff. I think I told you guys I'm writing the season preview for the Hockey News. They've hired me to work on some stuff this year, so excited to share that with you guys. But we're getting close. And then free agency's April 1st. And then team has training camp, and then they'll be rolling into the season around the end of September. Yeah, I think the NHL season basically runs on the same timeline as the NBA. So into September through, I guess, now if they end up in the finals. So I don't think they think that's going to happen, but I think the team will play well. I think it'll be exciting time. But yeah, we're here. It's June 16th. A lot of people know this as Father's Day because it is Father's Day. And, I had my mom on for Mother's Day, which was fun. It was nice to have Mom on to introduce her to you guys and talk a little bit about our hockey story as a family. Father's Day is here. God, I wish I could have Dad on. That's not possible. He passed away in March 2023. So like I said, we went to his grave and spent some time with him today. But I do still feel like I should have a guest on for Father's Day. And, I don't have a father booked, but, who I have, and I'll bring her over right now, is my sister, Samantha. And you might think that here she is. Hi, Sam. She's wearing a shirt she made with, pictures of my dad right there. Pretty cool, huh? But you might think it's weird that I have Sammy on, but the reason for that is because Here's my dad's ID when he was a trustee for the Utah High School Hockey. He was the president of the league as well. Dad was pretty much like the team mom, so to speak. Like, he did everything. He score kept. He ordered our uniforms. He was at practice. He booked our ice. He was just very heavily involved in all that. But he did it with a lot of help too. And I think the biggest helper is the person sitting to my right now, Sammy.
I was the shadow.
You really were, yeah. And
you can kind of see the photo.
Kind of see it right now. But there's a picture of my dad and Sammy, right there, scorekeeping at the South Davis Rec Center for, I don't know. I guess it looks like a Viewmont hockey game. But I thought it'd be fun just to have you on, Sam. Say hi to the good folks at SLC Puck.
SLC Puck.
They love it. But I think this is a good episode to talk about hockey dads, and in particular our hockey dad, especially because you were his shadow, so to speak, and just like tell people like just how like involved and engaged in hockey dad was.
Yes. Well, to start, I think you kind of talked about this with Mom, but Dad had a Viewmont hockey vest.
Yes.
That he wore religiously.
Yes.
Like, not even just to hockey games, but every single day.
He was known for this vest among people
it was
in
one
the
of those,
media.
Like, the piping on the sleeves had like
it
frayed
fell off.
and
I'm sure, like, he covered University of Utah football at that time too. So I'm sure Urban Meyer was very familiar with this Viewmont hockey vest. I'm sure Kyle Whittingham saw that vest all the time. It's somewhere in our house. I think Mom has it like in her closet or something. But I think we need to get it framed.
Yes,
and
it's very nostalgic.
If you look at a lot of the pictures of Dad, I think he's wearing it in that picture too. If you see a lot of pictures of Dad from that era, he's wearing that Viewmont hockey vest. Mm-hmm. And Viewmont hockey was just so much fun in that era. That was I think the years I went to Viewmont, I think were 2008 through 2010. Mm-hmm. And the hockey team got progressively better. A huge part of that was Dad's interest and how much he mm-hmm. invested his time and a lot of his money, frankly, in helping us get better. But yeah, Dad embodied high school hockey during that era in a lot of ways. He was the guy, and
he was all about it.
He was, and people loved and respected like the talent he had to do. Cause being like a trustee for a high school hockey team, I imagine is not the most fun job in the world.
Yeah, and all the scheduling that he did for practices, and there was, I think it was your freshman year, they were remodeling the rec center.
Yeah.
So we didn't have our home ice.
Yeah, that's right.
And so he had to schedule practices at all the other rinks around. And so like some days you guys were
bouncing around everywhere. Like we saw all the rinks in the Salt Lake Valley.
But somehow he like scheduled that all out, and it was just like seamless. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was just easy. And even in the era when like group chats weren't a thing, like the communication still got to all the players very well, and everybody turned up at the Oval on a Tuesday night, at the same time somehow, and then maybe we were at Murray the next practice.
Yeah, it wasn't a consistent place. It was just kind of where we could fit in.
Yeah, it felt like we were mostly at the Oval that year. We spent a lot of time at that rink, but yeah, we got the full gamut with the full tour of.
The tour of ice rinks in Utah.
And I remember when the South Davis Rec Center finally opened, Dad was so excited. The ice had just barely frozen. Like it was still a little soft from like just putting the water down and like turning on the refrigeration.
I don't think you were there. Even before that, he arranged for us to go on a tour of the rec center
with
before
hard hats
it was
and
done.
Everything. Yeah,
and so we like went out on the ice when it was just the like cold cement, like it wasn't even the ice yet. And
he was so excited about stuff like that.
Yeah, and he was like, "Can you see the V and the B like from center ice?" Like that was what he really wanted to know. And then when it did open,
because they have those big windows at the South Davis Rec Center. Yeah,
yes. And then when they did open, we made sure that we had the very first game there.
Yep, and the very first ice time.
Yes, the very first ice time was ours.
Yeah.
And so he set up like a ribbon cutting ceremony.
Yes,
And I
yes.
very distinctly remember that because I had a bag that I took to the rec center with like 20 pairs of scissors in them. And they were just like your cheap scissors from Target.
From the dollar
like,
store. Yeah.
But I was in charge of passing out the scissors for the ribbon cutting.
And I remember the ice was really bad that day. I just weirdly remember that.
Kind of wet.
It was like just barely cold. But you know, it was really important for Dad for us to have like that symbolism to symbolically have the first ice time at the new rink. But I mean, Dad just did so much. I mean, like we talked about it a lot with Mom, how he was like really instrumental in getting DCYHA up and running.
He did the redesign of the Viewmont hockey uniforms.
Yeah, which they still wear to this day. Yeah, we spent a lot. I remember, because when I was coming in as a freshman, Dad had already been asked to be the trustee for the year before, so he could get in the swing of things, and then really, do it full steam when I got on.
Well,
the
and
team.
kind of what happened is they had these ugly yellow uniforms.
They were horrible yellow
and they
uniforms.
had maroon like.
It was
shoulders.
Kind of mismatched. Like everybody looked a little bit different.
Well, they didn't make the same color of red anymore.
Yeah, so some kids had like cardinal red is what it should be, but some kids had that, and some kids had like purple. And some kids had maroon. So Viewmont hockey was, I guess it wasn't what it became by the time we were done, because Dad really built that thing into a powerhouse, I think, and a lot of it was due to
he was the one
effort.
that designed like putting the Viewmont across the V,
which they still wear it to this day. So when you see Viewmont, looking the way they do, you got to think Dirk Facer. Those were a lot of his innovations, and that's a funny memory because I remember we spent so much time working on the design for that uniform. He worked with I feel bad that I'm remembering his name. He passed away, but
Gary Jones.
Gary Jones, thank you. Yeah, we worked a lot with Gary Jones to design those uniforms. I feel like Dad and I were constantly driving to his little hockey shop in South Salt Lake like every other day to check on the uniforms and stuff. So that was like a fun, exciting time. And I remember when the uniforms came, and I had mine, the number 9 one. I
think it was the first one printed too.
I'm sure Dad arranged that to be the first one. But it was. I mean, just I remember how fun it was. It was stitched on like the pros. It had the nameplate, it had the tackle twill, the lettering. It was a professional quality hockey uniform, and it was it was like it didn't have the fight strap on the inside, but other than that, it was pretty cool. And I think that is just like such a so embodies like how much Dad cared about it. It's just like the uniform, and he did it well enough that they still wear those to this day.
The other day, Mom and I were at the rec center, and we went and looked at the trophy cases, which are also one of Dad's great creations. Some of them kind of silly, but everything up there is still like the original things that he did, like that ceremonial puck drop, that first game. Like he made like a little. Yeah,
he loved going to the trophy shop too.
Well, these ones he made like a graphic on the computer and printed it out and like Mod Podged it onto the puck, and then it's like on a little stand. But like all those trophies in there, he had a lot to do with, and when you made it so there were trophy cases at the rec center. Because
so when you go to the South Davis Rec Center, you see the hockey presence there. A lot of that can be attributed to Dad, which is pretty fun. And I mean. I remember when we used to go to the Bubble, they had trophies there that had been there since the 60s or 70s. So
and we were there the last night of the Bubble before it was torn down, and all the trophies were just left there. And me and Dad went through the trophy cases.
Picked out the good ones?
Yes, we got someone to open the cases for us. They had to search for this key, and we took all
Dad threw his weight around a lot, huh?
Yes, and so we took all the ones that were good trophies, and we're like, if nobody wants these, we'll just reuse them, take the little plate off and use them again. So we went home with boxes of trophies that night.
I think what really surprised people about Dad, though, is especially, as involved as he was in hockey and all the time he spent in the rink and the hours of scorekeeping he did and, clock operating, is he I mean, hockey like wasn't like really his thing before that, you know?
Yeah.
Like he did his mission in Canada. He was in the Calgary mission. He was in Edmonton too. So I think he like had been close to people who liked hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I think even for P-Day, I think they played hockey a couple times. Apparently he was horrific at it. Because skating's hard. If you don't know how to skate, you get on the ice as like a 19-year-old. It's not a lot of fun. But
well, I think even a lot of people assumed that because Dad covered the Utes for football, that he loved Utah football, and that he liked sports in general. Like he liked all sports. He liked a good game. I think basketball was probably his favorite sport, but he just really liked a really exciting game. So like NCAA March Madness.
We loved watching March Madness together. Yeah,
you know, like any finals or any championship.
He did
game,
fantasy baseball with his friends for 40 years.
Yeah. So he just really loved like all sports and like all the excitement of it.
Yeah, but I think like it's so interesting. Like the hockey arena was like really where like his passion for sport, like for run. I think Dad always wanted to be like a sports administrator. I think he wanted to be like a coach or like an athletic director. And
fun fact, me and Dad did coach a game one day.
Oh, I can kind of remember this. Yeah.
Back when they were like squirts or peewees. They were just little fellas. And for some reason, all the coaches were going to be out of town.
Yeah.
And so they're like, can you guys like handle the game?
Did you have to wear a helmet to do the door and all that?
I don't remember if I wore a helmet, but yeah, basically Dad and I were just in the box and we just opened and closed the doors.
Yeah,
and we didn't do much else.
That's most of just coaching.
I'm sure we had like a motivational, motivational
rah
period.
We gotta really, you gotta play harder, guy. You gotta skate hard, guys.
Yes, but
so Dad was not a hockey tactician or strategist in any way. I don't think but I think he learned the game. He understood I think he understood like what we were doing on a power play. I think he saw what we were doing with like breakouts. I think like a big thing Dad did was like make a lot of cool connections in the hockey community. The one I think was most helpful in Viewmont Hockey's run to our greatness, our state runners-up here.
Our almost championship.
Yes. Yeah, it was when he hired Jeremy Weiss to be a coaching consultant with our team. And Jeremy, I think he's still the coach at BYU or whatever that team calls themselves now. But I mean, he got like the best hockey coach in the state to come and work out with us and show us some things. And again, it was just like a big part of like Dad cared. Dad wanted us to win that championship so bad.
Yes.
I know. I was devastated when we lost in 2010. We lost in overtime to Skyline. God fucking damn it! Like, it still kind of makes my stomach hurt a little bit to think about it, even 14 years later. But man, Dad wanted it more than anybody.
Yeah, we were down. So during the state championship game, we weren't allowed to be the scorekeepers because they didn't want there to be any bias or anything. So that was like, those were the only games we weren't ever in the score box.
Right.
And so we went crazy because we didn't know what to do with ourselves. So most of the games, we kind of just made laps around the ice.
Pacing nervously.
Yes. We would sneak downstairs, when we probably weren't supposed to be downstairs on the ice level, but we would just pretend like we were supposed to be there. And so we would go down there or basically tell these teenagers.
This is at Steiner. This is where the championship game was.
Or tell the teenagers, leave us alone. We know what we're doing. So we were down on ice level when the sad loss happened.
Yeah, the game went to overtime. And then just to a quick play-by-play. Not that anybody cares, but who cares? I'm sure most people have tuned out by now already.
It's fine.
Yeah, who cares? So game went overtime. We had the face-off to start overtime.
And it's sudden death overtime.
Sudden death,
so first person to score, game's over.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I remember we took the puck down. We had a couple shots on goal.
And that's where me and Dad were standing. We were behind.
Yeah, you were at our attacking zone.
Yes.
And then they broke the puck out. They got it to their best player, Dean Wilson, who picked up steam. He got kind of past our defense.
Skyline Hockey.
Yeah, he and his dad over at Speeds whatever their store is on 21st South is called. Speeds, I think it's called. That's how they would answer the phone and talk shit to Dad when he'd call to talk. But Anyway, yeah, he picked up steam and you know, just had a shot on net that hit our goalie's glove and then bounced over the top of it and rolled in and gave them the championship and made us losers.
That was
so
it.
yeah, that was and I think this is probably a good story to end on. Yeah, I mean, God, that sucked. That really sucked. That was such
especially carrying the championship T-shirts back to the car.
That you had made for us.
We had them downstairs, like ready at the locker room, and then it was like, oh, we got to carry these back to the car now.
Yeah,
and they're still in the garage.
Yeah, we're gonna send those to a third world country one day. But Dad was the president of the high school league at the time, so he had to present the trophy to the other team, and give us our second place trophy. But you know, one by one, you know, they called each player up to give us like a medal or whatever, and they gave us our silver medals. And I just remember, you know, Dad gave me the medal, but he brought me in for a hug, and he said, "Hey, I'm proud of you." And that's just something I think about a lot when I think about Dad. Is he was proud of me, and he showed it really well, and appreciate that and love it, and good memories, and a lot of our good memories with Dad are hockey related. Which
because we lived at the rink. Like every time I go to the rec center, like I can visualize like where Dad parked, and he didn't park like up front, but he parked kind of to the back, and he had a spot. And he was the last person to leave there almost every single night because he'd stand in the parking lot and talk. But then
I think he wanted to make sure everybody got home, like wasn't hanging around too. But he also was a gabber. Yeah, he loved to chit chat. No.
Yep.
Anyway, that thanks for joining me for Father's Day.
Yes.
I know you're not a father. You're a mother, and you're a good mother. But thank you for filling in for Dad and sharing some stories about him. So.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks guys. This is this week's episode.
Are you going to share your plans for Wednesday?
I don't know what we're going to do on Wednesday. There may or may not be an episode.
You may see some live from Disneyland.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what the plan is. We'll figure it out for the next episode. We'll definitely be back next Sunday for sure. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks again, Sammy, for joining me. Merch at slcpuck.shop. All that stuff. So again, thanks everybody. We'll talk soon.